Okay, so what we'll try to do today is to look at two things. First of all, we are going to look at Shadcn briefly, just a quick introduction for those who are not familiar with Shadcn, and then um, we are going to look into how to use this Shadcn on our Figma, right? So Shadcn is basically a design system, right? Which is mostly written in different languages. So it's mostly used by developers for building web applications, the front end of web applications. So you can think about uh, Shadcn on the web for an engineer as the UI kit we have on Figma as a designer, right? So for a designer and an engineer to use Shadcn for their projects, they need two things. They need the components in code, and they also need the components in Figma, right? So whatever you have on the code needs to be replicated in Figma so that whatever the designer creates in Figma can be implemented by the engineer in code, right? So a good example is here we have all the components that Shadcn comes with, right? So we have the well-known button components. Let me make this, yes. So we have the button components, and as you can see here, we have the code of the button component that the engineer will need to install into their projects and use this button. And the good thing about using a design system like Shadcn is that everything you need to think about when it comes to accessibility uh, has been taken care of, right? So you don't have to build the entire component from ground up. All you have to do is to install into your project and use the button, right? It sounds simple, but there's a lot of things that actually goes into creating a button that is accessible. Because right now, I can use my keyboard to select this button, right? I can use my mouse to select it. I can hover over it. Every interactions that a button requires is already there. And it also comes with different variations, right? So you have the secondary, the destructive, the outline, the ghost, the link, and the icon button. All of these things already comes inbuilt into the Shadcn component. All the engineer have to do is to plug it into your project and use it, right? And the same thing goes for the designer, because now the designer will use the UI kit of the design system that has all the properties of this button in Figma or any other design tool they are using. So in today's example, we are going to be using Figma as a reference to the Shadcn design system. And also, um, if you go to Figma community, I saw a very wonderful design system that I'll be using for this project, right? So the Shadcn design system by default, the creator is is not a designer, so he did not create the UI kit. So the UI kit you will see for Shadcn are just UI kits that other people, other designers, other creators have created, right? So I saw this particular UI kit that was implemented by this designer, and he did an amazing job. It has a comprehensive set of components is the way it is on the Shadcn website. So which means now we are able to we are able to now replicate what we see on the Shadcn component websites on Figma when we are working on our project, right? So if we open up this UI kit, you can see on my left here we have all the properties that we need, to get started, right? We have all the components exactly the way it is on Shadcn website, right? So just as a reference, the same button component that we just looked at right now on the Shadcn website, if you open it here, you will see that we have all of it, all the buttons with all the different properties exactly the way we have it on Shadcn. And in fact, we have more than what you can see, because now you have all the different states of the button here on Figma that you can use in your project. All right. So these are the two things that we need to get started. So before we dive into trying to figure out how to set up the UI kit to use it for our project, what we want to do first is to first of all want to look at uh, the component, the what makes up Shadcn, right? Now, if you look at the Shadcn website, if you go through all the introduction, you will notice that it mentions different tools that it uses to build the entire design system. And one of the important tool is called Tailwind, Tailwind CSS. Because Shadcn is a component, the creator did not focus on writing custom CSS. Instead, he or she incorporated Tailwind CSS to make it easy for anyone to add custom styling to the Shadcn component. And if you come to Tailwind, Tailwind is like the traditional way, or one of the very nice way for the developers use to style their components. So it's just a thing of adding different CSS classes, predefined CSS classes that will change the layout of your UI, right? So this is how the engineer is going to be able to customize the layout so that it will have the nice alignments and border radius that the designer has created on Figma, right? So it's important that as an engineer or as a designer, you have it in mind that the styling for Shadcn design system is Tailwind, right? So we need to figure out if the UI kit also incorporates Tailwind in the way it is styled, right? Now, the other thing that we want to think about is that for every design system has a theme, right? Every design system has a theme. And what makes up a theme? Mostly, what makes up a theme is the color, the spacing, the typography, the 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 padding, and all of those primitive things that you need to set up first to customize the design system to fit your brand, right? So let's go into Figma, and we are going to close this one, and we are going to start from ground up. So here we have the UI kit, and we have confirmed that it's a free resource that we can use in our project. We don't have any problem with using it. So we're going to open it in our Figma file, right? So we are duplicating it from the uh, Figma community into our own project folder so that we can actually set it up for our use case. So while it's loading, the first thing that we want to do is to look at the the available themes. So we want to make sure that we customize the theme to fit into our brand. And the most important thing that we usually do customize first is the color, right? So maybe our brand color is blue, right? So which means that we need to make sure that we set up our brand color to be blue, so that anywhere on the entire design system where we need our brand color, the blue color will be applied automatically, right? So that is number one. The other thing that we need to check is what's the typography that is being used, because sometimes a particular project might require a different typography and another project will require a different typography, right? So let's say that in our company we are using a certain typography, so which means that we need to make sure we update the UI kit to use that particular typography, so that anywhere we use any components where there is a text, the text will automatically inherit our typography. right? So now we have the UI kits open here, and similar to what I showed you earlier on, we have all the components that we need here, right? We have all the components we need here. So the first thing we want to look at is the colors. We want to see, and here, as you can see, one thing you will notice first is that we have the tailwind colors. Remember I told you that Shadcn uses tailwind as the styling system. So the UI kit has all the different color palettes that tailwind comes with by default, and that is a good thing, because now if you have a particular brand color, you can quickly look for that brand color here, and you can actually just customize any set of the brand color to fit whatever you want, right? So, and here also we have what is called the variables. These are actually the colors that we are going to use in our projects. So if you go back to Shadcn website, let's see if we can find it. CSS variables. Yes. So they are called CSS variables. CSS variables are predefined color tokens that the design system will use in their project. So in this case here, we have, let me zoom in. In this case here, we have BG background and text foreground. So which means that BG background is a background color, then this is the text color, right? So these are CSS variable, or we can call them color tokens. So we can call them color tokens on Figma. So on Figma, we already have these color tokens or CSS variable defined on Figma that we can use in our project. So you see that we have the background, all the background colors, we have the foreground colors, we have the muted color, we have the cat color, and so on and so forth. Now, each of these color tokens defined here are linked to a particular Tailwind class, right? So as you can see, they are all linked to a particular Tailwind class. And to have a good look on that is when we open up the Figma variable, the local variable, you will see that we have multiple things that we need to look at here. We have all the color tokens defined, right? Then we have the light mode, we have the dark mode. And one good thing that we will notice is that when we look at the collections here, we have other collections, and we have all of those tailwind colors defined here, which means that you can actually come in here and decide whatever you want to do. If you want to choose a different color for your project, right? Right, which makes it flexible, because if you're using the same design system for different projects, you can quickly switch between different themes of color, and your design will be unique to that particular project. So now to customize the color for our project, the only section we need to change is the Shadcn tokens, right? And the most important one we want to change is the primary color, because the primary color is the brand color that we want to customize, right? So what we need to do is to decide, okay, what is going to be our brand color? Is it going to be blue? Is it going to be red? So let's say in this case we decide that our brand color is going to be let's see something. Yes, let's go with this color, indigo. So we are going to choose indigo 700. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's go with 900, just to make sure that it is very, very accessible, right? Because we want to make sure that the brand color we are choosing is going to be used as a background color. I want to make sure whatever text color we have on top of it is very accessible. So if you use 800, then the dark mode, on the dark mode, what will be the primary color? So we are still going to use indigo, but what we are going to do now is that we are going to use the light version, which is indigo 50. And now we're able to set up our primary and primary color for the dark mode and the light mode. Now let's see what happened in our entire UI kits. So if we go to the button section, you will now notice that our button now inherits the new color that we have set up, right? That is the beauty of it. So a good practice that I usually do is that I want to confirm if the color has good contrast, has good accessibility contrast. So I usually open this plugin called Use Contrast, and I will select the text inside the button. And as you can see, it gives me a triple A color sensitivity check, which is very good, which means that the color has high contrast, and anyone with any kind of color accessibility issues will be able to read whatever text that is inside this button, right? Which is very important. Now that we have set up that, we have the entire design has changed to use new primary color. Of course, we can go ahead and begin to customize all of these ones to make sure that our design is entirely unique to our project, right? So what we can do is to look at, okay, um, how which colors is this one. So here we have the hover primary, and we can change the color to indigo 2. So in this case, let's say we are going with indigo 900. Yes. And now you can see that the hover color has also changed. And we can do the same for all the different colors we have throughout the entire design. So we can do that over and over again. So the only one I want to not change at this point, because I've demonstrated the idea, and we can do that throughout the other sections. So we can just go with this for the secondary color. We can go with indigo 100, and here we can go with um, indigo 200, right? Okay, so now we have all our primary and secondary color using our default uh, brand color. And if you select the text here, we can also see that the contrast is high, so we don't have an issue with that. And all our hover states is now correctly set. So now we have our color fully set up. The next thing we want to do, we want to make sure that our typography is set up. So if you look at the typography here, we have this typography that is called gist variable, right? That is the default typography. That is the default font family here. And we also have other font family that is defined. So the question I want to ask ourselves is, do we want to use this gist variable as our default typography? So if we want, we could use it, but for illustration's sake, let's decide that we want to change it. That is now our brand color. So because here on the design system, the typography is also defined, it is easy to change it, and the only thing that we need to change here is the font family, because the font family is what controls the entire typography. So want to ask, okay, what fonts do we want to use in our project? So let's say that I want to use Inter, right? Inter is a popular and open source font, so we can use it in our project, both in our commercial projects. So all we have to do is to change this font sans from gist to Inter, and that is it. Now it will take a while for it to update. I don't know if you saw that, but the entire typography has updated to use Inter, right? So it's still updating. it will take a while because there's a lot of uh, typography going on, and there's a lot of files going on. So it will take a while for it to be able to get everything up and running. All right. Okay, so let's see if everything is up. What we can do, we can look for a component that has a typography. Okay, in this we have this accordion component, and here, if we zoom in, we can let's make a copy because we don't want to make any changes to our master component, right? So let's make a copy and paste outside of the master component. So here we have this accordion component, an instance of it, of course, not the main component. So what we can do, we can look at the font that is used to be sure that everything is working. So because this font is tied to a variable, that's why you see this here. So we can detach it. We can also detach it, and as you can see, we are using Inter as our font family. So that solves our problem, and we have successfully set up the color that we need for our brand color, and we have also set up the color we need, the font type we need as for our font family, which is Inter. Of course, you can go ahead and customize these other ones, the font serif, which is here is using Georgia, and SF mono for font mono. So you can customize this too. But most of the times, the font serif fonts are used for uh, marketing websites, like having a header, the display header or the hero sections for marketing websites. So it may not necessarily be required for when you're using it in a web application, right? But it all comes down to the style and the direction of the project. So it's good that we have all of these options here so that you can customize it to your taste. So at this point, we'll just stick with using Inter for the font stance, because that is all that matters. Okay, now the next step is we have configured our typography, our colors, and we want to look at maybe uh, want to publish this design system so that everybody in our team can use it in their project, right? So the way Figma works is that Figma organizes files into projects and teams. So for you to be able to publish a design system, you have to publish a design system into a project. So to get started, all you have to do is you come to assets on the left panel, and you click on this libraries icon. Now, because this file has a lot of components, that's why you can see that we can actually publish this file as a library, right? So if you notice, the file has 9,591 components, 131 styles, and 403 variants. We may not necessarily need to publish all of these things at once. So what we need to do, let's go zoom out, let's come back here. And if we click on publish, it tells us that we need to move this to a project, right? So you say that move to project to publish libraries, because libraries are supposed to be used within a project folder. So we can select move to projects, and let's say we want to move it to frames and div, right? So we'll move it there. Now, because we've moved it, we can publish our component. The way I love to go about this is not to publish everything at once. Of course, you can do that. You can just hit on publish, and you leave it to run for as long as it needs to publish all the components. But most of the times, you don't need all the components immediately, right? So which means that you can actually publish the ones you need per time, right? And the first thing I always like to do is to publish the core theme styles and components. So when I mean styles now, we're talking about the typography and the colors. And remember, I told us that in, on Shadcn, the styling that will give us a consistent theme is going to be the CSS variable or the color tokens that we have defined, right? And here we have our Shadcn UI, which is a color token that we have defined. So if you open it, you will see all the tokens that we've defined. So what we can do, we are going to select this. We don't need the primitive styling because already we have used it to define this color. And if we want to make any changes in our colors, we're not going to make it in any other file. We're going to make those changes on this file. So we can always come back here to make the changes. So what I need to publish here is the theme, which is the color tokens and the typography. Now, of course, or perhaps we may not even need to publish typography because typography is just a reference that is being used by all the text styles, right? Okay. So what we would do, we can unpublish that. So we can select all the text styles, and there is really no faster way to do this. So I will just select a few of them for demonstration sake, and I will scroll down to the component sections and see, okay, what other things we need to publish. We see that we have shadows, so we can also select some few shadows to demonstrate, right? And then we can select some blur. Nice. So all of these things are styles that has already been defined on our system. So we can select, let's see. Now, what are the basic components we need first to get our design going? A button, obviously. So we can get a button, we can get an icon button, we can get a card, right? And we can get a badge. Okay, so let's say that this is what we need to get started. So now what we do, we hit on publish, and it will start assembling the components. And this is basically the workflow that you as a designer is going to go through. But the workflow for an engineer will be that when they come to the Shadcn website, they will go to the installation and they will have to choose the kind of project they are working on. So if it's a Vite project, they will follow this guideline. If it is a Next.js project, they will also follow this guideline. So let's try something here. I will create a new project on my start list website dashboard. I'll create a new Next.js project. So create a new project, Next.js, right? So this is a flow for an engineer. Typically, this is a flow for an engineer. So they will set up a project. So in this case, I'm setting up a Next.js project. And while it's setting up, we'll come back to it. So what the engineer will now do is to follow these same steps to set up the Next.js project. And what it will do is to actually, it will ask them if they want the kind of theme they need, if they want to use the kind of color style they need. So this zinc color is coming from Tailwind, right? Now, it will to also ask the kind of, if they want to use CSS variables, which is those color tokens that we just published on Figma. So obviously we need to use the CSS variables, right? So let's see if our project is up. Okay, it's still installing. Let's see if our Figma has published. Yes, our Figma has published. So now, because we have published this design system UI kit on a particular folder, what we can do, if we go to that folder, so let's go to that particular folder on Figma. Okay, while it's coming up, let's go and see if this is done. Okay, it's ready. So now let's just minimize this. Don't worry about the details of this code. This is just for demonstration purposes, and we are not going to do any fancy stuff here at all, right? Okay, so we just have our project live here, and what is the next thing that we're going to do? The next thing we're going to do is to follow the guideline here to install Shadcn. So we just copy this, we go to our project, and we run it on our project. So we're going to let's open up this folder. This is where you see all the different packages we are installing. So we are going to install Shadcn as a package. So we are going to install Shadcn, and it's going to ask us some questions. Yes, we want to install Shadcn, and it's going to ask us other questions like what kind of theme do you want to use, and so on and so forth, right? So let's see. Okay, it's coming. Okay, it's nice. Asking us what style would you want. Let's just go with New York. It's asking us what base color do we want. If you remember, on Figma, the base color that was default is the slate. So we are going to select slate. It's asking us, do you want to use CSS variables, which are those color tokens we define on Figma? So we say yes, and it's going to set up Figma. So now you see it's updating Tailwind and also updating the CSS file, because these are the two places the Shadcn is going to define those colors that we are going to use. And if you remember, I told you that Shadcn uses Tailwind for styling. So now that we have successfully installed Shadcn, if we open our global.css, which is where we have our color tokens defined, you can now see all the same colors tokens that was defined on Figma. We have them here. So let me just go back to Figma. So here, if you go back to local variables and we open Shadcn UI, so here we have all the color tokens defined, and we also have the same color tokens defined here in our project. So as you can see, everything is exactly the way it is on Figma, which means that whatever the engineer is doing on the code is going to be what the designer is doing on Figma. So the obvious thing that we want to do next is to update the colors, right? To update the colors. So to illustrate that, before we update the color, let's bring in some of the components. So what did we do? We actually installed, we published this component and we published the button components, right? So what we are going to do is that we are going to create a new project, a new Figma project. However, for us to be able to access that design system we publish, so we are going to move this project to the same folder where the design system is. So we are going to move to, and we are going to select frames and div, right? So now when we click on browse, we are going to look for libraries from our team, and we should see, yes. So now we can see open source Shadcn. Can you see that? So we say add to file, and that is it. Now you have access to all those components and styles that is on the design system file. So let's create a new file here, right? And if we want to add a button component, all we have to do is to search for button, and we are going to filter it by the design system we are using, and look at it here. Can you see that? And we can insert it into our project. Woo! Now you see we have our button components live here with all our stylings and you can actually, because the button is the component is well done, and we have all the different properties mapped into properties here, you can easily just update this to get started. So you don't have to edit the button, you don't have to create a new button, and that is what it means to use a design system, right? So now we have our background color here. We can change this to background. You see that? So all of this is tied to our design system. And look at the beauty of it here. If I duplicate this, remember we have in our design system, we have three uh we have two color mode here, the light mode and the dark mode. So we can actually switch one to dark mode. So if we switch to dark mode, um you see that everything automatically switches. Now, the reason why everything can change is because every color here is mapped to a color that is defined in our design system, right? And that is the same thing you see on the Shadcn website, where uh, we can actually switch the colors from dark mode to light mode. You see that? And that is the beauty of design system. If these colors on Figma were defined manually, we're not going to be able to switch between these different color modes. And that is one thing you need to keep in mind. So what I want to do is, okay, similar to the way we just have this now here, what I want to do now is to edit my to edit my my what is it called, my code, to use the correct properties of my colors. So here we are using primary indigo 800. So if I if I detach it and look at the properties, we can see what is called the HSL, which stands for hue, saturation, and lightness of the color. So this is the numbers we need to set up in our code. So if you go back to our code, then what we want to do first is that we want to bring in the same button components that we just added to our projects, right? So let's bring in the same button components. We are going to go to Shadcn website, and we go to button, and we copy the installation code. We go back to our project, and we install the button. So now this is the engineer workflow when they are working with the same design system. The same way you just used it on your Figma, this is the same way the engineer is now using it on their code, right? So what I want to do is that I want to edit this file just to illustrate. I want to edit this file and add the button. The button is also already installed, and if you look at our components, we have the button here, right? So I want to edit all of this file. This is a lot of file. So what I would do is I will look for one that says learn. So let's see, is it? Yes, so we have learn here. So what I would do, I would just insert the button randomly into the project and see what happens. So I will call button, and I'll close it. I'll write it get started, and I can close it here. All right. So what we need to do, we need to import the button the same way we exported the button, right? Now we also imported the button into our file here, right? That's the same way the engineer needs to import the button into their file. So we need to look for the button, and the button, we can't find it, so we are going to manually import it. So we come to the top of the project here and just close all of these things. We can say import button from Let's see if we can find it. What is it called? Let's see if we say uh, components slash UI slash button. Okay, yes, it's there. Do you see that? We figured it out. I mean, this is the button, and as you can see, the button is there. So don't mind that the button is in between those. That is just for illustration. So all I can just do is to actually just where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Let me find get started. Okay, here we are. So what I would do is I would just delete this one, right? So I will also delete the SVG. Let me see the span. Yes. So we have our button, and of course, the button comes all the properties we have on Figma. So right now, we are using the size called medium, right? And we are using primary, we are using normal. So here also we are using this is the primary, right? So we can also use the size attribute, and we'll say we want to use the medium and see. Okay, that is not how it's done. It's going to be in a curly brackets. If I'm not mistaken. No, it's not. Okay, maybe it's not medium. So let's look at the properties here. So if we open the button component, we can see a variant, we can see the size. So there's no size called medium on the component. So this is one area that is still missing on the UI kit, which we need to update. And that is why it's important to always have in mind that most times the source of truth for a design system is the documentation, the code, not the UI kit, because the UI kit may not be up to date, right? And in this case, the person or the people who created the design system in code is not the person who created the design system in UI kit. So there's always discrepancies in their functions or in the availability of the features and properties that we have in each component. So it's now up to you to add those ones that are not there, right? So now you see we can use medium as a size because it doesn't exist. So, but here, however, we have default. This is the default size. We have large. So what we can do, we can use large and see if that works. Yes, that works. Yeah, as you can see, the size now increases. All right. Now, the other thing I want you to notice is that for the default background, for the default button, the background color is BG primary, right? So let's update our color tokens to use the same color token that we used on Figma. So if you open back our design system and look at the color token for the primary color, we have the HSL is 22445541. So we can come back here and say on the root is the light mode and the dark is the dark mode. So right now we are using the light mode, right? So here we can say the primary color will be 244, right? 2445555% and what? 41. So let's go 41. And there we have our indigo. And the good thing is that everything, the state is there, and we can of course go ahead and start adding other color tokens and so on and so forth. But that illustrates how the engineer is going to incorporate the same UI, the same components that the designer uses on Figma into their code, and they'll get the exact same uh, properties, the exact same features, and that is how you are able to create a cohesive design in Figma and also a well implemented UI in code. All right, so I will pause here for today, and in the subsequent sections, we'll look at how we can use this design system to build out a full future UI and, if possible, implement it in code as well.